Hello, everyone. We humans have a superpower ability to convince ourselves that something is true even when it is not. Wondering what am I talking about? Now, picture this it's a moment of triumph for you. You've got a dream project, something that you were longing for. Also, you got an opportunity to lead the team that you wanted always. And right when you're happy, celebrating, people are congratulating you, there is a small doubt that creeps in, convincing you that, hey, you don't really deserve it. The other person was more worthy. It's mere luck for you. It's not your merit, and that someone someday will find out that it's a fluke. Have you ever felt that? And that's the feeling that has got us here. Welcome to our heart to heart chat on imposter syndrome. I'm your friend, an HR professional, Preeti Jain, currently working with diversity and inclusion team with IBM India South Asia.
Hi, I'm Kanak Suri Sharma, a diversity and inclusion professional at IBM India South Asia. Imposter syndrome is a topic many struggle with, but often keep hush hush. So before we dive deep, let's unravel this mystery together. The question many ask is imposter syndrome real?
Yeah, absolutely. A question that has been asked for so long, for a very, very long time, and suitably so. It's not a clinical disorder, and that makes it very difficult to decipher. Do you agree? So let me share this with you. The first man who walked on the moon, Neil Armstrong, he was being recognized in a room full of people who have high accomplishments. And he got talking to Neil Diamond, the fantasy author. And both the Neils got talking and talking and talking. And at a moment, they were discussing that how great it is to be named as Neil. At that moment, Neil Armstrong mentioned, rather confessed, that he was feeling like an imposter in the room. He felt that he didn't belong to the room. He felt that he hasn't done anything great to be there amongst all the people, those who had great accomplishments. What he said is that, what have I done great? I went where I was sent. Imagine if the first man who's walked on the moon feels that way, any one of us can feel this. Accomplishments at that level are very, very rare. But the feeling of fraudulence is extremely common, and we all must have felt it at one point or the other. Can you imagine that the imposter syndrome has actually been extensively researched for 40 years now, Kanak? 40 long years in different environment. You name it, and it is there. In different environments of academia, of medicine, of corporate world, all the researchers, scientists, they have actually come together to say that the reasons could be different for different people, but it does exist. Now tell me, Kanak, have you ever felt that nagging voice when you have achieved something remarkable, but still that nagging voice bothered you? Did it happen with you?
Oh, many a times, Preeti. This also happens because you're always looking at that innate perfection and you always have this feeling that you could have done better. So instead of celebrating the wins, the accomplishments, your inner voice says, I didn't do what I could have.
That's
Probably
right.
it's just a fluke and that I'm just getting this just like that. And if people will find this out. I will take you back to your the story that you just narrated, Preeti, about Neil. His statement that he was trained and he just did because he was asked to shows that he underplayed his efforts and hard work. And probably he felt at that time that anybody at his place could have done it. And many a times I get the same feeling, trust me. Same, exactly same feeling.
It's not new and it's not uncommon also, Karnak. Thank you for admitting that you also feel that way. Imposter syndrome is like a sneaky guest at the success party, right? When you're celebrating, this is going to pop his head up and say that, it'll minimize your accomplishments to prove that it is mere luck. Feeling like an imposter is very, very common, Kanak. Very common. In fact, it's as common as catching a flu. Anyone can have it. In my career graph of 23 years, where I've had decent positions, decent roles, there have been instances when I felt that someone will catch hold of me and someone would come and say that, hey Preeti, how did you get these roles? And I always felt that people will think that I have not worked for these roles. It was only luck. It was only opportunity that I somehow got. When I was discussing this with my mentor, I heard the same exact feeling from my mentor also. Imagine somebody whom I look up to. And I
Yeah.
thought that he's arrived. He's already arrived. Why would he feel like that? But he did share that he also feels like that. When I was talking to my mentees, Kanak, they also shared similar feelings. Despite having record achievements, they also feel similarly, which means to me, professionals at all levels for that matter, I think they all combat with this feeling of imposter syndrome. It seems it is universal. It is universal. And with this feeling, when I was doing a reality check yesterday on Google and I typed, I found that statistically, 75% of all of us, they must have felt this feeling of being imposter in our job, at a career, some or the other time in our life. But we have, which necessarily means what? 3 out of 4 people in this room, in this meeting, or anywhere for that matter, would have felt this feeling some or the other time.
Yeah.
And studies also show that women feel it at a higher rate.
Hmm. And one of the reason, for that is also that, juggling work, home, social life, we forget our worth.
That's right.
It is like we are programmed to doubt ourselves. From my experience, there seems to be some common thought patterns that can trigger imposter syndrome, I feel. Is one, our conditioning. You know, how have we been brought up, the environment we've had, our experiences, the societal structure, stereotypes, microaggressions for that matter. They condition us to doubt our achievements as if we are intruders and don't deserve what we get. Also, Preeti, I feel that the world makes business look like a badge of honor. When you, yeah, when you are working all the time, you feel more confident and, oh God, I've worked. The
Yeah,
moment you have some time for yourself, you start doubting yourself. Have you become redundant? Why do we have so much time? Now, isn't that paradoxical, Preeti?
it is. It is. And yes, we all feel that. Somebody who's absolutely busy seems to be more important to us. But anyways, imposter syndrome is actually a paradoxical phenomena in many ways. The paradox is also that people who have imposter syndrome are actually not frauds. They are often high achievers, extremely competent, skilled, they're doing well, achieving successes, and still they feel that they don't belong. And still they feel that they are intruders. What do you say?
Yeah, true, absolutely. The curated perfection makes us doubt our own journey. Speaking of which, I'll narrate a family, an incidents in a family gathering. There was this instance where one of my relatives is chatting with his kids, okay, boosting about how lucky they are because one parent is full time homemaker. Now shift the spotlight to us, me and my husband.
Okay.
Apparently, we are not as fortunate because both of us are hustling away at work. So this cousin of mine is narrating this whole saga to his kids, probably, and all of us sitting together, okay, probably just trying to paint a picture of how tough our kids might have it. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
there, taking it all in, feeling the guilt creeping up on me. And few days later, while I'm grappling with this guilt, a new job opportunity knocks on my door. And now I'm thinking, okay, I can't handle this. I'm not good enough for the challenge. I might have to take a break in my career. I get into this panic mode, and so I just spill the beans to my husband. I say, I need to take it easy. No more new opportunities for me. Let's just stick to where we are. I don't think I'm ready. I'll focus on my kids. And this feeling that my kids must be so unhappy. So my
Yeah.
husband said, okay, you're not good enough. Your kids are also unhappy with you. Why don't we check with them?
Hmm.
So he calls my daughters and announces, guess what? Mama has a new job opportunity and she doesn't want to take it. She's even thinking of quitting her job because she feels you're having hard times because of her busy schedule. And guess what? My girls are like, please, no, who is saying we're not happy with mom working? So, it's in these moments, Preeti, that you realize that it's not always about what's real, it's about the guilt we impose on ourselves. You know, just talking it out with your loved ones is a reality check that you can do.
Absolutely.
Kids, in my case, were content. It was my own guilt talking. So when you're
Yeah.
facing challenges or thinking about stepping into new roles and you're having these doubts about yourself, have those open conversations. Build your tribe, that circle of trusted confidence who will set you straight.
Absolutely. We need these reality checks all the time, so many times, at home, at office, everywhere for that matter. In fact, you know what? This imposter syndrome has manifests in many ways. This reminds me of another aspect of feeling this way. So let me share this incident with you. It happened with one of my mentees, and let's call him Amit. Amit, an efficient, diligent professional, reports are polished, presentations flawless, admired by colleagues, customers, clients, all good. But behind the doors, he also grapples with a feeling that nagging that constantly bothers him all the time. That Amit, your perfections are going to get, are going to come ahead. People will get to know. So he was grappling with that, and we had a conversation around that. So one day, Amit was in an important meeting, and his typo error and was noticed by somebody in the meeting, and he panicked. He absolutely panicked and worried that what will happen next. Is his imperfection coming out? Is his cover getting blown away? So he absolutely panicked. We feel like that at times, right? Later, when we were having a conversation about this incident, we did discuss that what if instead Amit had chosen to be more vulnerable, to have admitted his mistake of the typo error? What would have happened? How would have his team members responded to that? Or his manager would have responded to that for that matter? Would they have judged him or would have shown understanding? And when we were conversing here, probably there were many reflections for him and for me. I realized that most likely in such scenarios, uh, people, our colleagues, managers, they show empathy. They talk about understanding, they show their understanding, and they also relate to the mistakes that they may have made in certain scenarios, right? So I feel, Kanak, that our honesty really make us human, and we have to absolutely own our authenticity. Our vulnerability can actually become our strength. Perfectionism to me is an illusion. I've come to realize that.
Yeah. While I agree with this, Preeti, but I also feel that a lot depends on the environment we are in. What are the experiences we've had with our colleagues? Is there an environment of trust? Or are we just trying all the time to be absolutely flawless? These contribute to the feelings that you may have. What do you say?
Absolutely. I think bang on, Kanak. A lot of imposter syndrome is also because of extrinsic factors. And imposter syndrome also is especially prevalent in cultures at workplaces where we value individualism more and we value overwork more, like we discussed in the initial part. Cultures where employees are punished disappropriately for making small mistakes, for making large mistakes, they're not given room to experiment, they're not given room to really make mistakes and learn. Cultures where stakeholders, they withhold their encouragement and appreciation, they don't really share, they don't really acknowledge employees efforts as much. That leads to also creating a culture of overwork, of striving, where employees are striving harder and harder to really receive that acknowledgement, and at the end of the day feeling like an imposter. Also, have you felt that, Kanak?
Yeah, yeah, many a times, a lot.
Yeah,
I think the environment, the culture, that contributes so much. And that
yeah,
is a key, right? If you have a culture of trust, you can be just yourself.
absolutely. You know what? In fact, taking it ahead, what is also funny here is that we all are a victim of this environment, of this, we all are guarded by these extrinsic factors, but we also contribute to these. And I'll share
Yeah.
an example. So last week I received a wedding invite and I started planning ahead. Weddings make me really, really excited. So I started planning ahead. A close family wedding, you see. I was
Yeah.
excited. All the functions, haldi, mehendi, sangeet, and of course the maiden wedding. So more focused on haldi, mehendi, sangeet. I started deciding what to wear, when to go, and what to perform. And then my excitement started dying down. When I compared my own dance with the most curated choreographed ones that I see in usual functions on TV, on YouTube reels, I started feeling I'm not going to be adequate. My dance is not going to make a difference there. And I started dishing out. And that also happens with me when I host a family dinner. When I call my friends, yeah, exactly. Let me be honest. So when I host these family dinners, Kanak, I would be super excited to begin with. And then it's going to die down. You know when? When I would create those dishes, when I would cook, and then I'll start comparing my dishes to those that I see on MasterChef.
Yeah, I mean, this is so relatable. We are so busy to make everything perfect, and
Yeah,
we're so worried we might like be behind somebody that we miss enjoying that very moment, you know?
absolutely. And unconsciously, unintentionally, then we start pushing our family members, our friends into that frame of perfection, frame of standards that we have to meet. We have to dance like this, we have to present like this, we have to host like this, all of that. So that also adds to a lot of imposter syndrome in our own lives. And that leads to a lot of imbalances. Um, this reminds me, when we're talking about dance on YouTube Reels, this also reminds me that I very, very strongly feel about how we are influenced with social media. When I was choosing my dresses, I went to Instagram to find inspiration. What I could find is overwhelmed, overwhelm, the feeling of overwhelm. When I was scrolling through Instagram, and what came across was beautiful, wonderful, eventful lives of all other people. I wasn't
Mhm.
there. My life wasn't there. And I started questioning myself. How are they taking out time for all these things? Why am I not able to do this? How are they managing? I am not adequate enough. I don't know how to create this beautiful, wonderful, eventful, and Instagram worthy life, so to say. So yes,
Uh, you know, yeah, I- nobody puts their struggles, their failures up there, right? What we see is only one side of it. For me, shifting from external approval to personal growth has been transformative. Because once you start seeking validation for everything, Preeti, you stop growing, is what I've realized. Which also highlights another issue, that is people pleasing. And I have faced this majorly in my life and career.
that's right.
I would want to make everyone happy at home, at work, and then get into the self built pressure. You know, you can't please everyone all the time. There are times when you will have to say no, and it is okay. I think it's crucial to remember that this phenomena has nothing to do with incompetence.
Absolutely. How true it is, right? Very, very true. These are certain things, that these are behaviors that we keep on demonstrating in our daily lives without even realizing that what are we really gunning for. Unintentionally, we are actually demonstrating imposter syndrome in everything that we are doing. When you
Yeah.
simply allow things to flow, I think it's just beautiful. It takes your power back. You take that room to learn, to grow. It's like taking your power back and not really putting yourself into that vicious circle of putting false standards, trying to achieve those, putting hard work, overworking, then looking for validation. And then even when you receive validation, if you don't, then of course you consider yourself as an imposter. But even if you receive that validation, you don't internalize that. You start, again start with a different thing to prove your worth, because you, in your own eyes, feel that you are an imposter. So it is a vicious cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all can act to make it better for us and for others.
That's
Like
right.
celebrating small victories, not just for others, but for ourselves too. It kind of counteracts self doubt, fosters confidence. And collaborative work culture, for that matter, it boosts morale, helps everyone in navigating challenges together. Another crucial aspect is acknowledging and embracing mistakes, very important. And that's part of the growth process. And when it comes from the leaders, it shows their human side. Also, Preeti, as an individual, questioning our doubts, discussing with others really helps, I must say.
Absolutely. You brought a beautiful point, vulnerability. Leaders have to work to create a collaborative culture, a culture of trust and integrity. But how does it happen? It'll not happen unless and until leaders themselves are actually walking the talk of being transparent, honest, and being vulnerable. So, yes, vulnerability is beautiful. And absolutely connect to your point. We should consider that there is always room for growth. You know that we discussed the other day, that it is so essential to reflect on one's journey It's about acknowledging areas of growth and improvement. Each one of us, no matter how expert we are in our subject, but then all of us, we have some room to grow, some room to learn more, some room to perform more. So self
Yeah.
reflection allows us to recognize our worth and also appreciate the progress we may have made. And what we have to remember is that it is an ongoing journey. It is not going to happen overnight. It is an ongoing journey. And we should embrace it with openness and kindness. If there are things to learn, yes, why not? But if you're good enough, then please start acknowledging your own accomplishments.
Yeah. And also confronting imposter syndrome is all about empowerment, Preeti. It's
Yeah.
about acknowledging that self doubt, as you said, is a universal experience. It's okay. We are not alone. It is there even amongst the most accomplished individuals. So be kind to yourself, celebrate your achievements, and seek support when needed. I think it is possible to overcome imposter syndrome, but what is needed is to first acknowledge it.
I so agree. I so agree with that. And Kanak, before we move ahead, there are quite a few questions here. Let's look at them. Let's look at them.
Yeah, I see a question, and it says that I am a new parent, and currently all my focus is on building a secure personality for my toddler. How do
Yeah.
you think we should talk to our children to make sure they grow up with a healthy self perception? Okay, firstly, whoever has written this question, let me tell you that I'm still learning as a parent. And what works for me and what I feel is that we should talk to our children about their strengths and qualities and help them identify what they are good at. A lot of times we'll say, Are, you're not good at this, you're not good at this, please don't do that. And also allow them to have setbacks. Failures are okay. It's okay to go through them, and you must tell them. I keep telling my daughters that a lot of times things will not go as planned,
Yeah.
so you have to be prepared for that. And also, be mindful of the language that you are talking to them. And this I've learned. If I have a 16-year-old, and I've learned through the journey. I've done my mistakes, and we must be mindful of the language that we are using, and we shouldn't be comparing them with others or using negative comments. um, and also model that behavior. Don't keep criticizing yourself in front of them, right? Model that behavior, show them how to love and care for yourself. And very importantly is have conversation with them, encourage them to talk to you, share, encourage them to share their feelings, but without judging them. Sometimes I feel sometimes it's only enough when you are just listening to them. You need not give them advices or suggestions. So these are the few things that I do with my children.
Yeah, absolutely. Giving them space to take decisions is also very important. Only when they are able to make decisions now is when they are going to grow as confident individuals who will be able to take their own decisions later when really needed. Decisions for you, decisions for themselves. So that's it. The next question talks about, yeah, okay. The next question talks about, just give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm scrolling it up. It talks about the fact that, uh, okay. Have you ever encountered a situation where workplace guilt seemed insurmountable? And how did you navigate through it to emerge stronger? Okay. So this question has hit home. I'll take that question, Kanak. So, have you encountered a situation where workplace guilt seemed insurmountable, and how did you navigate through it to emerge stronger? I'll share my anecdote here, my story here. So, 2 years ago, I absolutely was in this situation where I was feeling guilty all the time. Why was I feeling guilty? Is because of a reason. I was feeling guilty because I was the primary caregiver and I was taking care of my parents. Both were unwell, and I was taking care of them. And I was also trying to achieve certain things, high visibility projects at office. So I was absolutely juggling between the two arenas. And the reason of me juggling was because I wanted to do everything here and I wanted to do everything here. I wasn't really letting it go. I was absolutely in fix as to how do I really manage everything as well as I was managing earlier. My aspirations and the requirements. I wasn't really able to put them together. Both were pulling me in different directions. That is when reality struck me. And I reached out to my manager to have a conversation. And thankfully, knowing IBM managers, so I had a conversation with her, and she helped me understand that whatever I was feeling, that I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not present in all meetings, wasn't really required. I wasn't required to feel guilty about those things at all. And she wasn't expecting me to be there in all the meetings, to be there in all the project meetings and stuff. So she helped me prioritize my stuff. She we could actually align our expectations, my expectations and the project expectations and the manager's expectations, along with the organization's expectations. So we were able to put everything together on a clean slate here. That helped me come out of that guilt. To an extent, I was able to come out of that guilt that I'm not doing enough. I knew that there's going to be time when I'm going to focus more on work, but now is the time when I have to focus on certain other priorities. So that was one, open communication with my manager. Second is that I also realized that there are certain things that I want to discuss about my life. It was an emotional roller coaster. Both my parents battling with something grief. So it was an emotional roller coaster for me. So what I did was that I also took help from a professional coach, external professional coach. And when I took help from external professional coach, I was able to open my heart out. I was able to discuss my fears, my insecurities at work, in life, with parents, without parents, after them, and stuff like that. So he also helped me in really aligning my things and brought my attention to the fact that we don't really have to juggle with all the balls in the same go. He helped me understand. He helped me self reflect about what I was feeling. So that is how I was able to put my slate of course of action. That really helped me. So I think that all the communication, all the conversation, all the course alignment that I was able to do helped me focus on the right things at the right time and not feel guilty about things that I was not able to do, because the expectation was set, the slate was set, the scenery was set, and I was able to take care of the most important things. So that is how, and after that time, when I look back, I think with the help that I took from everyone, and that was my learning out of this entire incident, that you have to ask for help, you have to take help. Taking help is a sign of strength and not weakness. So that made me realize that. And I think since then, I have been able to emerge much stronger, so to say, emotionally and otherwise also, if that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you. And Preeti, thank you for sharing that. There's another question on reflecting on the emotional whirlwind of imposter syndrome. How do you advise someone to hold on to their authenticity? Okay,
Mhm.
that's a difficult one. And let me tell you, it's not easy. Okay, it's not easy. But what helps is taking time to reflect. You know, what you truly matters to you, what brings joy to you. Just look within. Be kind to yourself. Another thing is consciously trying not to self criticize. And this, I just said in my previous answer also, for my children, start with yourself. Okay, why I say consciously try not to self criticize is because a lot of times in difficult situations, by default you start criticizing yourself. So try that consciously, practice that. And have a tribe of people whom you trust, you can talk to, and you can share your true feelings. And it's okay to be vulnerable with them. And also, I would say, stop saying yes to everyone and everything. Learn to say no, a polite no, to something you don't have time for or you don't want to do. So these are the few things that you can try. It will not happen in one go, but it's a gradual process.
Yeah, I would like to add 4 points here that I personally follow. To be kind to my own self, I try to be self aware, and then I reflect on myself. Self reflection is another important point for myself, which means that I have to be aware of my limitations. I have to be aware of my unique situations that I have. Self reflection would mean that where have I come? What are my goals? What are my aspirations? Really reflecting on that journey so far and journey ahead. Then self compassion is another piece, that whatever my journey is, it's unique to me. It's not someone else's journey, so I can't compare. So I have to be compassionate towards my own self. Then self acceptance. I have to accept myself. I may have some limitations. I may have some goals. I may need some course correction. I may have some USPs which others would not have. So self acceptance is another piece here. If you follow these 4 point rules, it's going to be helpful for you. Okay, with this, I think this brings us to the end of the conversation here. Wonderful conversation, Kanak. I absolutely enjoyed conversing with you and with the audience here on chat. Uh, Friends, we would say that you have to remember that we are not alone in this journey. Each one of us may have felt that at one or the other time. Your journey is unique, and so is others. Embrace your journey, reflect, seek support, and believe in your unique talents. As Maya Angelou has said, that success is all about liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Thanks for listening, and until next time, thrive on. With this, signing off, Kanak and Preeti and VA's team. Thank you.
Thank you.